My aim is precisely that those students that leave the educational system can continue being, can be what they wanted to be when they got in the system, being astronauts, being spacewalkers. And I'm sure you know this in Navarre because one of our most important projects is Cerboric, which is deeply rooted in Navarra. This is a picture taken last year when CEIN, the government of Navarra, invited thousands of children to demonstrate their talent in a robotics competition. Well, what's going around us? What's happening that prevents talent from being developed? To me, the reason is quite simple. There is, how could I say this? There is a very great gap, a great difference between the educational market consists of supply, that is schools, and demand, students. So to me, supply is a monopoly, that is, I cannot choose. I have no election if I live in Spain. I only have one option. These people have a monopoly, so they have no need at all to ask their customers what they are looking for, what they are expecting. Their customers are students, but they don't care about what they are looking for. So they do what they believe they should be doing. And here lies what I call the educational abyss, because there is a huge difference between what our students really need and what the educational system is offering nowadays. One of the great myths, that is the culture of effort. Effort is indispensable. Who in this room thinks that effort is not longer considered seriously in this generation? Who does sincerely think that our younger generations are not making an effort enough? Because most of us were educated considering this approach. You need to study because that's your obligation. It's compulsory. We pay for the food you eat, the house where you live, so your obligation is to go to school, to study, and to pass your exams. Do you think that those people I'm showing here, the myths, the idols, there are some representatives from Google too, do you think those men created their emporiums thanks to this culture based on this effort approach, only based on that? On making efforts? Amancio, you need to work harder. The distribution chain has to be done. Steve, you need to make an iPhone. That's your obligation. Larry, come on, wake up. Find your last algorithm. Did they do that compulsorily? They did it out of passion, out of motivation. So our children never forgot the culture of effort, but they live in a different world, a world of motivation. When they are motivated, they make big efforts. They make bigger efforts, but they understand the reason why they should make an effort. And we need to know what we are doing things for, the reasons why we are doing things. And that's the only way of being highly motivated. We are quite cynical when we use ourselves as examples. I studied a lot, and you see how far I got. I remind you that in my parents' times, when with a salary of 2 years, they could buy a house in a big city with 2 years retribution. nowadays, if they make a big effort, as we recommend them to do, if they finish their university studies, two people won't be able to buy a house in 10 years hard work. Well, assuming that they manage to find a job, because 50% won't find any job, and the other 50% will have a retribution between 1,000 and 2,000 euro per month. So we are cynical enough to recommend them to study a lot, but they know now they won't be able to buy a nice house and a nice car once they finished their studies. Therefore, in our classrooms, in our educational system, I come back to this, is teaching based on those idols, on those myths. So there is teaching exactly the same, in the same fashion, in the same way. We have physicians here. So you know that at school we teach physics up to the 18th and 19th century, all those discoveries. Everything that happened after the 19th century is not included in the curriculum, in the syllabus. It's not included. They just jumped, they skipped 2 centuries. Doesn't matter. We teach the same content in the same way. Can you imagine jobs in these times, in this industrial revolution? We worked like that, and we taught like that. So our classrooms are still like that, same configuration. So we did a study with thousands of children we worked with in the last years, and we asked them what they want to learn from the educational system, what are their aspirations, their ambitions, and we summed it up here. First of all, they state they want to learn to learn. And it's easy to give. That's not easy to give. They want to learn how to learn. They also ask to learn in teams, do things in teams. So we could be cynical to say is that they are not looking for individual exams. That is true. They want to present their assignments in teams, curiously enough, as the best business schools throughout the world, where there are no exams, classical exams, but collective assignments. They request to develop their multiple intelligences, their creativity. That's hard if you're a teacher and need to manage that. And they ask to manage complex systems. For instance, a video game. I invite you to move to screens without reading any instructions, because I don't know whether you realize, but there are no instructions, no manuals. And the last thing they request is to take part in the decisions they need to take in their lives. So we compared this to a study, and maybe the discussion will have the opportunity to speak with Anna. We compared this to what directors of human resources departments are asking right now. Are they for the curricula we are giving our students nowadays? What are they looking for? Well, it turns out that they are looking for people that learn quickly, fast, and adapt to change. They ask for flexibility. They are asking for people that are capable of working in teams. That is no longer an option. That's compulsory. They are asking for people that provide new ideas and help them design new business models, and that are capable of solving problems and can manage complexities. Because problems engineers at HP or Telefonica had 25 years ago are very much more difficult to solve compared to those engineers at Telefonica Digital nowadays, because they don't know about market trends or the products that will be out there in the market in the next 8 months, for instance. Therefore, they are looking for people that are capable to be innovative, to have initiative, and to become leaders So you see the difference, this abyss. I could give many more examples. A think tank by the SARE Business School carried out a study, a projection, a forecast of what our children will need in the next 20 years. Curiously enough, they won't need. The younger generations state that they don't want to be owners of houses, nor having their own cars, their own vehicles. They do not aspire to that. Curiously enough, this report was commissioned by two entities, financial entities, La Caixa, a savings bank, and SEAT, a car-making company. And why? Because they are thinking about future cars, what they will look like. They will be converted cars and houses, flats, and therefore mortgages will be completely different. So if those people know that for sure right now, why are we not changing anything, those working in the educational system? Why is it so static? I'm giving you some data, some figures. Data from Spain about investment in education compared to GDP. We hold the 70th position with 4.5% investment, below the average, which is 4.9%. Somebody could say, some of you could say, you are not spending more. I mean, that doesn't mean, the fact that you spend more doesn't mean that you are obtaining better results. But the PISA report states that there is a clear correlation between mathematics performance, reading performance, and investment. The more you invest in the system, the better output you obtain. And these data, this can be read, this study can be read. I'd like to share with all of you. In 10 years, 1 out of 10 years won't be present at the course they should be in according to their age. 18% of students drop out before having a degree. In secondary school, only 83% of students get a degree, and in intermediate studies, half of the students has a delay of at least a year, a whole course, a whole year. And we could go and on, drop out, school underperformance. Number of graduates in secondary schools is 60%, 23 points lower than the objective that has been fixed by European Union for the year 2010. So this system was supposedly, assumedly designed to promote talent. We can see variation in the last years according to the PISA report regarding the reading performance of our students and the mathematical performance, reading and mathematical performance. So there has been a significant drop. So we are going backwards. What's the result, the outcome of all these? Those youngsters, those teenagers that are demotivated, their morale, their self-esteem has rocked bottom. Are we ashamed? Shouldn't we be ashamed of asking them to make an effort, to be committed, because that's their obligation? They know they are doing things not correctly. This is the result of our factory. It's not their own factory. I mean, that's exactly what we've created. They are the result of our actions. We are the ones, the responsible ones. Why are we so arrogant to continue with these statements? Why don't we think about changing the way we behave, the way we act? I'm not very fond of politicians, so to say. So I think about changes we can make. There are two alternatives. Either we wait until the educational law changes again, bill, and has an impact, or we decide to make changes at our own scale, individual scales. So I'm more in favor of the second option. So we could do mainly two things, and this is the key to fostering talent, in my opinion. Two different things. First, fostering self-esteem. Without self-esteem, we cannot get anywhere. Our children won't reach far. Self-esteem is feeling proud of yourself. And we see that on babies, toddlers, when they start walking, they fall down and they get up again, and they never feel frustrated. They never feel frustrated. It is us that don't allow them to fall down so that they can get up again. We need to foster self-esteem, both as teachers and parents together, both in the classroom, at school, and at home. How can we do that? When playing with our children, we need to spend time with them. We need to be really fully aware, present, not thinking about our work or checking the email. They are really intelligent, and they realize quickly. When they start playing with a toy, they don't know how to play. We need to resist the temptation to trying to solve that problem. They need to feel frustrated for a while, for a minute or two, leaving them 5 minutes to learn how to open that toy, that box. We need to allow them to make mistakes. There's no better learning, no better lesson. We need to celebrate successes, resist to comparisons. Please behave the way your sister does. We are all different, and we have different virtues and strengths. And we need to encourage self-esteem, telling them that we believe in them. Go on like that. Continue. It doesn't take any time, any money. It's easy. Imagine one day you get at school and your teacher tells you, "Anna, I believe in you." Imagine what a difference this would entail. We can do it at home if it's not done at school. I encourage you to do that with your own children. Another thing we need to do in order to encourage, to foster talent, is to keep that innate curiosity. Children are born with that natural curiosity. We needn't spoil it. We just need to keep that amount of curiosity they are born with. Curiosity is the capability and inborn interest in learning. Of course, all children have that. You see babies, they cannot move, but they are looking, staring all the time, really concentrated on what's around them. The first thing they do is the things go to their mouths just to taste, to experiment, and when they start walking, that will be really a difficult time for you as a parent, as a father, because they want to get everywhere. They want to observe, to experience everything. But we curtail that when they start at school, and what is one of our main mistakes. We are obsessed with this excess of productivity. They start at 8:30 in the morning, they finish at 5, they do their homeworks for 2 hours, and they have an extracurricular activity, and they finish at 9, and the only thing they want to see is watch TV. Are we surprised? Why don't we do something on Sunday morning? Let's switch off all iPads, gadgets, TVs, sets. It's no play. Just wait for 15 minutes. So they will get up and look for new things to do because they are curious enough and they are motivated. Another thing, frying an egg with them and asking them what's the difference between a boiled and a fried egg and why it takes that shape once it's on boiling oil. I encourage you to use a magnifying glass with your children. It's spectacular, the time they spend looking through those magnifying glasses. Well, I'll skip some slides because I'm running out of time, but I'd like to conclude by telling you those two things that are inextricably linked, self-esteem and curiosity, because without self-esteem there cannot be no curiosity. If my self-esteem is high, I'll dare ask why things happen, because if I fail, nothing will happen, nothing wrong will happen to me. I'm allowed to ask, to pose questions, and I encourage you to make those changes. It's up to you all. Can you imagine what could happen if we do not make that change? Because our children will be in charge of managing our banks, our companies in the future. They will be the aircraft pilots. They will be our surgeons. They'll do our bills, our laws, and they will pay our pensions. Therefore, I encourage you to start working hard from today onwards. Thank you.